internees, one more famous than the other. Sylvia Plath, who's very, very close to my nan, and quite often tourists stand on my grandma's grave in order to find Sylvia's, which is at least amusing. And there's another poet buried there, a New York Jewish poet called Asa Ben-Venisti, whose epitaph reads, "Foolish enough to have been a poet." Anyway, Heptonstall Cemetery. I climbed the churchyard hill, the town its scalp, sorry attic with cobbles, 2 black chapels hunched like burnt collarbones, faith a shrug by the moor's shattered rock. My grandmother keeps company with Plath and Benvenisti, a stepping stone for strangers to find their poets dead. Wild box honeysuckle has sprouted from her ribs, her tough share of the eternal needing a saw to prune. She cooked curry with tinned soup and cried at old Air Force songs. The raw white of her hair sits like a halo, shone through the brain's dark lens. I settle on the cool grass, chatting to a memory of a shape below the earth. Part of her gestures through my bones and muscle. An owl cries from blue leaves. The day's failing burns on the woodland. Common shadow envelops ferns and stones. I put down a dandelion, the fading sun like a ripped flower, a rubbish token you can't accept. No one should be made to mourn. So these next 2 poems are both about rivers, or bits of rivers. This first one is called D-E, which is a river that goes out into the Bay of Liverpool, and the bit around the estuary is called the Sands of Dee, and it's famous for having a lot of quicksand. The Dee oozes over itself, the rink of quicksand sucks and wallows, a breathless membrane. We trawl the dimpled pools, your hair torn cotton, a stiff coral, long skirt rippling up, the spooky woos of ghost. We drop salt on piped heaps to make the razors rise. Tricked by the sprinkles, they smack in our buckets. In dun rock pools, red worms twist in suspense. Anemones with stings poised stand waiting to be fed. Here is resurrection's small horizon. The crumble of gulls and far-off water, a false promise of salt. Your dry cough starts to soar. We walk back, your hand thin as bird bones, the rinds of plastic washed ashore. The tide spills out again, leaves its hieroglyphs. We make do with what we can decipher. So this next one is called Calder. Calder is the river that runs through Hebden Bridge, where I'm from. It was called, in the 19th century, the most worked waterway in all of the UK because of all the mills there and all the chemicals being pumped into the water and all the smoke from the chimneys. Calder. Nothing before this bleak, dark river, my home, its birth chord of geology and rain. A swollen tongue the current grows, manufactures itself. Years become mud, silk collapses from coiled brown roots. The mill wheels rolled through cluttered water, quenched wool dripped its chemicals. Looms grinned, smoked from coal, like men they worked themselves a shroud. Now chimneys cough up pigeons, the quarry has a boxer's face. Still lives make their way, housed in embers of destroyed sandstone. Thick as instinct, the river winds its neck. I sit at the water, feel the liquid in me. Blood shadow, pulse, it beats on the brain. Red eye in its freight, and shattered acorns. A tributary for Leeds, washing east. So I'll just read 2 more. Both slightly less miserable, hopefully. This is called Envoi. It's about, it stemmed from being on the first bus out of Skid in the morning and seeing mist over a pond in a field. Low mist on the field pond, haloed in lamp blush, the dawn cool. The eye, in its weakness, gives birth to vision, repeating farm smoke, crop tones, the rustic stalks in browns and golds. Were the first pictures like these, fingerprints smudged from dust and water, their flashings taken for the dead returning, or some idea of the soul? The day burns off this little resurrection, settles into its own becoming. Time-lapse of starlings, thrushes, dark specks in the reeds and straw. The almost seen, like fish scale, glimpses back from mild pools. The guesswork of the eternal, a question printed on skin. And the last one is a short elegy that I wrote for the Scottish poet John Burnside, who died about a month ago. And the title of the poem is one of his favourite words across his body of work, Parish. It's not the space you imagined, the parted ribs of a roadkill owl, what's left beset with flies, their spill of darkness and polished metal. The congregation pat his shirt, undo the soft buttons of his body, their parish a slow work, a hollowing. Still, something like spirit could enter here, born from the rotten sawdust, a creature shaped by this glitch in the flesh, the bones newly open to the light. Ta.